Hello and welcome to Lunch with a Lawyer. I'm Steve Richardson, and today we're going to talk about the federal student loan relief that is going on here in 2022, in the fall of 2022. It's been in the news quite a bit, so I wanted to do a webinar on it to make sure everybody knew what the opportunities are and what they can do to take advantage of these opportunities to help them with their federal student loans. Now, there are three main relief programs. There's President Biden's forgiveness program. There's something called the IDR recount. IDR stands for income driven repayment. And then there's the Fresh Start program to get people out of default. Now, let's first start with the President Biden student loan forgiveness. That's what's been getting so much news in the press and in the media. So I wanted to start off with that. There's some misconceptions about it, rumors going on. So I wanted to clear everything up so everybody knows what's actually going on. Now, you have to qualify for the program. It can depend upon the type of loan you have, your income, and whether you receive Pell Grants in undergraduate school. So let's unpack that a little bit. The type of loan you have, the first qualification. Well, it only applies to federal loans held by the Department of Education. So if you have a direct loan or a defaulted FFEL loan, then this applies. If you have a FFEL loan that is not defaulted, then this forgiveness does not apply. You'll need to consolidate your loans to direct loans in order to benefit. Now, what's the difference between a direct loan and a FFEL loan? That's really the question here, so that you understand. FFEL stands for Federal Family Education Loan Program. This is where the loan was originated with a private bank and simply backed by the federal government in the event that the loan goes into default. The federal government buys it back and sends it out for collections. So a direct loan is something that started in 1993, in which the Department of Education used public funds for these loans, as opposed to originating them with private banks with the money from private banks. And then in July of 2010, they shut down the FFEL program, essentially cutting out the middleman and just originating loans directly from the Department of Education using public money. So you can see how FFEL loans that are not in default are not held by the Department of Education. They're held by the banks. So it's kind of hard for the federal government to turn to banks and say, you got to forgive this loan or a portion of the loan. So it's really only President Biden's student loan forgiveness program only for direct loans and for FFEL loans that are in default that have been basically bought back from the banks by the Department of Education. So what do you do if you have a FFEL loan? Well, not much. Originally, you could just consolidate your FFEL loans to a direct loan and then benefit. But there was a lot of pushback from different states on this forgiveness program, and President Biden revised it to say, well, if you consolidate it by September 29th to a direct loan, then you can benefit from the program. So if you have a direct loan or you consolidated FFEL loans on or before September 29th, then you can benefit from this forgiveness program. Otherwise, not much you can do. Second, it depends on your income. Individual borrowers who make less than $125,000 yearly, or married couples or heads of a household that make less than $250,000 yearly. This is based on your income in either the 2021 or 2020 tax years. How do they know how much your income is? Well, if you're already in an income-driven repayment plan, IBR, pay as you earn, that sort of thing, then the federal government pretty much knows, Department of Education pretty much knows what you earn. That's about 8 million borrowers or so. So they already know whether you qualify or not. And then later in October, a form will be released for you to fill out and apply for forgiveness and provide proof of income to see if you qualify. And finally, it determines whether you receive Pell Grants when you're in undergraduate school. It's up to $10,000 for lower income borrowers who didn't get Pell Grants. So if you qualify under income and you didn't get a Pell Grant, and of course you have a direct loan or a FFEL loan held by the Department of Education, you can get up to $10,000 forgiveness. If you did get a Pell Grant, you can get up to $20,000 forgiven. Check with studentaid.gov to see if you got Pell Grants. That's the best thing to do. And of course, forgiveness is going to be given through December 31st of 2022. So the important thing to bear in mind is that it's not 10,000 will be forgiven or 20,000, depending upon whether you have a Pell Grant. It's up to $10,000 or up to $20,000. Not those are just maximums. So we don't know yet how much is going to be forgiven by any one person. Will probably be on a case-by-case basis, depending upon which way the political winds are blowing. But it's up to that. So that's one thing that's floating around that's really kind of inaccurate. People are thinking that they have that they're going to get either $10,000 or $20,000 forgiven. Those are the maximums. So that's the President Biden student loan forgiveness program. Now let's talk about the IDR recount. Now, IDR, as I said, stands for income-driven repayment. And there are various plans, depending on the type of loan that you have, where you can get a monthly payment that tracks with your income, and you would recertify your income every year, and they would recalculate your payment and based on your family size. And then it would take anywhere from 20 to 25 years in an income-driven repayment plan to get your debts, your loans paid off, and any balance at the end of that period of time would be administratively discharged. So this program is perfect with people with FFEL direct loans who have loans that fell due over 10 years ago, have been in repayment, even if not in an income-driven plan, have been in forbearances, have been in deferments prior to 2013. And if that's the case, all of the months that you've been in repayment, in a forbearance, or in deferment counts towards a 20 to 25-year income-driven repayment plan. So as you can see, this can give you quite a head start and really accelerate you through that 20 to 25-year term and make up for lost time. And again, even if you weren't previously in an income-driven plan, even if you're not currently in an income-driven plan. So for example, let's say a borrower had their loans fall due in May of 2007 when they graduated, never got into an income-driven repayment plan, spent time in forbearances when they couldn't afford payments, and had no months in default or where there wasn't a payment, forbearance, or deferment. The only time that doesn't count is time in default or time where you're in bankruptcy. Then the 15 years and 4 months since then would then count towards an income-driven plan. So they would have less than 5 years remaining on a 20-year plan or less than 10 years on a 25-year plan. So you can see how fantastic this program is and how you should really get in on it if you can. Now, there is a catch. All the federal loans must be direct, not FFEL. If you have FFEL loans, you need to consolidate right away to benefit from the recount. And the recount will be done automatically on all direct loans. So at some point, the Department of Education is going to go through all its direct loans, do the recount, and you want to be one of them. So if you don't have direct loans, if you still have some FFEL loans, you need to do a consolidation. So, and really, I recommend you get started now because it could take roughly 60 days for the Department of Education to process fully a loan consolidation. Now, if you're not currently in an IDR plan and the recount doesn't pay off your balance, you're going to need to apply for one because, the music's going to start up again on January 1st of 2023, and you want to be ready. So they're going to use your adjusted gross income from 2021 to calculate your payment. And if you're in an IDR plan when the pandemic started, then your payment will resume at the amount it was in March of 2020. So if your situation's changed for the worse, then you're going to want to request a recalculation of your payment. So that's IDR recount. And as you can see, it is really transformative, and you need to get into a direct loan if you aren't already. Check with studentaid.gov to find out what kind of loans you have, if you need a consolidation, and then keep track to see if they do the recount the way they're supposed to. So then there's the third program, the Fresh Start from Default. Now, if you've been in default for a long time, you may not even remember when the loans were current, and it's been dragging down your credit card forever and keeping you from financial freedom. Well, Fresh Start program is something you can do. It starts January 1 when the music starts up again, and the program will get you into an affordable repayment plan. Well, how's that going to happen? Well, starting on January 1, anyone with a defaulted federal loan, and this is whether they're direct or FFEL, can get out of default without having to go through a 9 to 10 month default rehabilitation program or consolidate the loans. They just have to fill out a form. Now, this applies to defaulted direct loans, defaulted FFEL loans, or defaulted Perkins loans that were taken back from the school by Department of Education. Now, Perkins loans are ordinarily administered by the school itself. So, like FFEL loans that might still be in the hands of the private banks, Perkins loans that are still in the hands of the institution are really beyond the Fresh Start program. So it does not apply to, again, defaulted Perkins loans still held by the school, defaulted HEAL loans, which are for medical school, direct loans that defaulted after December 31 of 2022. You can't default afterwards and then get your fresh start, and FFEL loans that defaulted after December 31. And of course, if you have a defaulted student loan that's in litigation, if the Department of Education through the U.S. Attorney's Office is suing you and has a judgment. Now, if your FFEL loans defaulted during the pandemic, you'll automatically be taken out of default. Okay, they will take you out because nobody that had a FFEL loan during the pandemic when there was a forbearance, you may still have had to make payments because, again, they can't tell the private banks not to pursue payment, but any default that happened during the pandemic will be cured. You'll be taken out of default, so you don't have to go through the Fresh Start program. And you don't have to do anything. Later this year, the Department of Education will begin reporting your defaulted loans as current rather than in collections to the credit reporting agencies. And then you can get into an affordable repayment plan. You would just, after the first of the year, make an application for an income-driven plan. So how do you get out of default? It's easy. You just have to file an application for an income-driven repayment plan, which will help you keep your fresh start by having the payments track with your income. You can get a zero payment if you're unemployed, and it'll be affordable. So you just have to fill out that form to do it. So now, if you are still in a FFEL loan, I do recommend that you consolidate, that you, because if you consolidate to a direct loan, you're going to have more choices for an income-driven plan. Now, there's some important deadlines to bear in mind. If you're holding FFEL loans, you need to consolidate to the direct loan. Okay, I said that before. Do it now. You can take up to 60 days. And there's really no reason to stay in a FFEL program anymore because of all the programs involved. If you're going for loan forgiveness, make sure you fill out the form right away to apply for the forgiveness because it's going to take some time for them to process it. And while you're waiting for the form, be sure to get your records together. You want to be ready when the form's available. Have your 2020 and 2021 tax returns at hand. Look up records on studentaid.gov to see if you received Pell Grants. Print out these records or take screenshots so that you'll have evidence of when you apply. And you're going to file the form no later than November 15, as the Education Department is saying it'll take around 6 weeks to process everything. You're also going to want to make sure you have these screenshots and evidence so when the forgiveness goes through, you know what the balance was prior to forgiveness. If they say they're going to forgive a certain amount of money, make sure that they recalculate the new balance based on the old one. The old one minus whatever forgiveness they give you should come out correctly to the new balance. You should get into some repayment planning. If your loans are not totally forgiven, you're going to need to start getting ready for when payments resume on January 1st. So have a budget ready by December 31st. Maybe set aside some money if you need a cushion. There's a loan calculator tool on the studentaid.gov site that'll help you get an idea of what your payment might be. And if you need an income-driven repayment plan, you should apply for one as soon as possible. As I said, especially if you're unemployed, get a $0 per month payment. For the IDR recount, make sure you see if you have FFEL loans, do your consolidation as soon as possible, and then your consolidation will get them out of default if they're in default. And the recount is automatic, so there's really no application process. For fresh start, then just get ready to go as of January 1. And you want to get out of default before they start up collection actions again. So you have till the end of the year to get ready. Now, if you need help, if you're struggling with your federal student loans, there's probably a solution for you. If you have questions about how any of these programs can help you, you can just go to my analysis portal. The information's right there on the screen. And I'll send a link to you after you've attended the webinar. And you can go into that portal, provide me with the information, and I'll take a look at it and see if there's a solution for you. And if so, we can get together and talk about possible solutions. So that's it for this Lunch with a Lawyer webinar on the student loan programs that are going on. If you think that there's a solution for you, you need help, just reach out to me through the portal and we'll see what I can do. If you have any non-student loans, non-federal student loans, either private loans or ones, New Jersey class loans through HESA that are in default and they're coming after you, give me a call, 856-686-9910. I may be able to help you with those. So again, that's it for the webinar. And I hope you're able to get the relief you need on your student loans.